Morning Board meeting of February 25th, 2015 to order. Lisa, roll call. Present.
Present.
Thank you. And to do the Pledge of Allegiance, I would like all the future city students who are here tonight to please stand and lead us in the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, adoption of the agenda. Do I have any amendments, discussions, or motions?
No amendments. Move to adopt as stated.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. And our call to the public. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38431, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for a future agenda. The board requests that all comments be limited to 3 minutes or less, and that the public refrain from the use of speech or language that is offensive or inappropriate pursuant to board policy KFA. Please state your name and address for the record. And if you want to speak, I need a speaker card. So first up is going to be Joshua Judd.
Good evening. My name is Joshua Judd. I'm a resident of Maricopa. My three go to Pima Butte. We got to get larger. I am here tonight to speak in concern to the budget and to gifted students and what we can do as parents to try to convince the board, convince the governor to try to release more money for our education. Two board meetings ago, and it's awesome, by the way, to see this many parents. I think that is, everyone should give themselves a round of applause for turning out. This is the largest group of people that I've seen since attending these meetings, and that's awesome. Go to Engage, is it Engage AZ? Engage at az.gov. That is where you can communicate to the governor to express your concerns about the recent cuts. That is going to affect us directly. Okay, that affects our ability for anyone that's here tonight in connection with 20+1 gifted programs, the funding for that. If we don't get the funds from the state, it's not possible here. The board can only do so much. They can only work with the funds that they're getting from the state. So make your voice heard. You put him in office. You can have sway. Send the email, send your concerns, and if enough people do that, the governor's going to realize that he needs to start freeing up more money to education. That was my concern why I spoke this evening. Also, just wanted to thank the board for what an awesome guys you do, an awesome job that you do about getting the word out to us for all of these instances, for the meeting tonight, for your award. Just an amazing job. And the level of communication from the board and from Dr. Chestnut has dramatically increased, from my opinion, over the last 3 years, and I think that will be a sign of things to come for the district, so I thank you for that.
Good evening, Madam President, board. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I come to you as well, and thank you, Maricopa, for coming out here this evening. It really is good to see. You'll be clapping every person coming up because this is a wonderful thing to see so many parents engaged and involved. It's also good for the board to see you here as well. I come before you to announce that the mayor has designated me as the liaison for City Council with the MUSD. which I'm very happy about because education is very important to me. I did get a little bit of pushback and do get a little pushback sometime about what my role is as a city councilman and what I should be concentrating on. I understand that I'm supposed to be concentrating on public safety. I'm very clear that transportation is important, and I'm very clear that economic development is very important. But I also know that if we don't take education seriously, we won't have transportation issues, we won't have public safety issues, and we won't have economic development. So that's important. So if you're in liaison, if you're in agreement with me on that, please continue to come. Let the board know this is an award-winning, statewide award-winning board. They deserve a hand. Please give them a hand for the work that they do, the effort that they do. And if there are things that are of concern to you, please give me a call there at City Council. I'm always available, and I'll give you my cell number, which is on my business card. That's by design, because I want to make sure that if you want to talk to me, you can talk to me without going through a lot of layers to do so. My cell number is area code 602-619-4440. That's 602-619-4440. And if there's something that's an issue of concern, please reach out and help us as well. Come to City Council meeting as well. And get involved in some of the boards and commissions as well. Continue to do this. I think we have an outstanding group of people who are on City Council this go around, and we are all concerned and focused on what is important to you. And we just need to hear from you those things at times, because if we don't know, we don't know. But when we do know and you hold us accountable, then we have to respond to you. So again, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I'm very happy that the mayor has sought forth to put me as the liaison, and I promise to work hard. And if I could just digress for just a second, it is critically important that the children who are in our schools and feel that they need to have the support from the teachers and the support from the community, they need to know that. They need to know that you're there. And by what you're doing here this evening rather, by being here this evening is important. Whether or not the other communities that we are neighbors with know or understand how important this is to us, it's important to us to know. It's important in our hearts to know how critically important our children are. I don't have any children in the school district. My children are all grown, but I do remember how important it was when I was going to school, how important the community was to me. It was, it takes all, what's the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, let's raise some good children here in this community, because we are a great community to do so. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Emma Schrader?
I am Emma Schrader. I am a student from Maricopa Wells Middle School, and I will be speaking about the budget for the advanced programs in our elementary schools.
Emma, could you pick the mic up?
Oh, sorry. From the time we are born, we are learning and improving. We are striving to become better people with better assets. To assist us in learning, we go to school. I recently learned that there are plans to fund advanced elementary school programs instead of expanding middle school and high school programs. If you give students the advanced fundamentals in elementary school and not in future years, it will go to waste in middle and high school. Advanced students have to attempt to work on less challenging assignments and cannot use their advanced elementary knowledge in the future. I am currently a 6th grader in an advanced program at Maricopa Wells Middle School called 20+1. Before this year, I had only ever been in normal classes where I was bored and unchallenged. After joining 20+1, I began to develop a new learning style that I know has improved the way I learn and think about things. I don't think I'll be ready to go back to regular classes in high school. Being in an advanced class gives me the chance to be around people at my level and work at an accelerated pace. My grades are dependent on how I manage my time, and without joining 20+1, I would not have that skill for my future after high school or college. If elementary school students learn this technique for 6 or 7 years and do not continue to develop it in middle and high school, they will not be ready for college and beyond. It sounds absolutely amazing to have advanced programs in elementary school, and I wish they existed before. But budgeting money for elementary school instead of all grade levels will leave the students in middle and high school unchallenged, and our investment in elementary students will go to waste. Instead, let's expand the advanced programs we have today. With programs similar to 20+1 and all grade levels, we can build a school district that values its brightest students and keeps them in our schools.
Ann Norby.
Good evening, Board, Madam President, Governing Board, and Superintendent. It's very nice to be here tonight. And that young lady is very hard. That's a tough act to follow. My name is Ann Norby, and I am the experience lead for the Maricopa Relay for Life, which is done through the American Cancer Society. This is Miss Gabby Potter. She is the people lead, and there is another lead, Becky Check, who is our Fund the Cure lead. She could not be here tonight. And we do have some members of our relay committee here tonight. Counselor Wade is one of our survivor caregiver leads. John Stapleton is our entertainment lead. And Dr. Miller is one of our team ambassadors, and he is recruiting teams and educating them. And how many of you have participated in Relay for Life? Has anybody? Great. How many of you, if you don't mind, how many of you have a personal story of a family member, friend, somebody that has had cancer? Okay. How many of you how many of them have passed? How many of you have survivors or might be a survivor yourself? Survivors? Survivors? Oh, awesome. We would like to get your name and everything so we can invite you to our survivor dinner and honor you. Relay was started actually in 1985 by a surgeon by the name of Gordy Klatt out of Tacoma, Washington. Wanted to raise some funds for American Cancer Society. So he, for a 24-hour period, rounded a track, and it's called Relay, but trust me, most of us walk. And he raised $27,000, and it became a national event after that with 19 teams that raised $37,000. Relay came to Maricopa in 2010. A wonderful, wonderful, inspirational woman by the name of Gwen Traylor, who's a breast cancer survivor, brought Relay to us, and Grace Gomez, who was taking care of her husband at the time, and he passed. In the 4 years that Relay has been here, we've raised $204,864 in this community alone. I would like to encourage the young people to participate. We do have participation from the school board, and we have a district team here. We have teams from the different schools, and we would also like to thank the principal from Maricopa Wells, who is doing an in-kind service for us, which he or the district can decide, but the name will go on the back of the shirt here. It would be at least a $500 sponsorship. He's letting us have the rummage sale and our vendor village there free of charge, because we have no operating budget, so you know how that could be. We did have 80 young people last year participate. We have participation this year from DECA, ROTC, I believe Desert Winds possibly, and we would like to really, if you want to have a team, we would be glad to come talk to you, because it is very important not just for the adults but for the young people to do community service and give back. Last year the funds we raised $35,000, and this is the real interesting thing and is educational. Besides, we do offer education programs. We funded a doctor out of Mount Sinai Hospital. Ross Kagan is his name. And Dr. Kagan was working with fruit flies. Now, when I heard that, I was like, what can you do with a fruit fly? Well, fruit flies actually can tell the difference between healthy cells and cancer cells. Oh, I'm sorry, the time's over. All right, that's okay. But if you need anything, we're here, and we would love to come visit you, and look for Relay for Life on Facebook. Thank you.
My last speaker card, Carol Schrock.
I'm going to have to hold this too. Good evening. I'm here to address the advanced placement and gifted programs for the district. My son is a sophomore at the high school. He's been in the district since his kindergarten years. His pediatrician told me when I went to get his shots to get him into kindergarten, he said, Henry should not be in a public school. He needs to be in a progressive school. but I put him in. We lived out here, I believe, in the public school system. And he's been in the gifted program, I think, since 3rd grade, whenever they test for it. It wasn't much of a gifted program for a long time. And in middle school, he was in an honors class that wasn't much of an honors class. I would get a lot of really nice pictures, great coloring, and I had to go to each teacher and say, I like the coloring, but is there something else you can do with him? In high school, he is in honors classes. In middle school, he was taking high school classes. And I just finished his conference with his language arts teacher, and when I walked in, she said, you know he's a genius. I know he's a great kid. And I know I've had to fight every step of the way to get him so that I don't hear, I'm bored. Just like the young lady said, I'm bored. And he sets the bar. He's in advanced chemistry. He is the curve. You need to take your gifted program from kindergarten, or whatever grade they test for now, into high school. These are the kids that are going to do great things. Don't let them be bored in your schools. As parents, I literally, like I said, Mr. Abel, you had him from 1st grade through middle school. You have to challenge these kids. And you have a teacher, and I'm gonna out her. Jennifer Miller, English 2, honors, high school. She is fantastic. I mean, literally a fantastic teacher. And she should be honored. So that's, just please look at these courses, the gifted advanced placement, because you have these kids in your schools. You need to give them something, do something for them. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Chestnut.
Thank you, President Coutray, members of the governing board. I have several things to report on tonight.
Got a great picture there. I knew that all the future city students would love that picture. So, excellent picture. It's great to have everybody here tonight. It's great to see so many parents and students in the audience. I do want to let you know that the reason the room is set up differently tonight with tables and chairs is that we have a big training here in this room for the next 2 days starting tomorrow morning. And one of the things I'm very proud of in our district is we have a lot of professional development for teachers. And I think that is one thing that makes this a great place to work. And so for the next 2 days, we'll be doing a Kagan training, which is an engagement training, cooperative learning, research-based, that really is excellent, and many of our teachers have been trained in that. It's a regional training. We'll be bringing in about 75 teachers from the region, some of our teachers and teachers from other districts. And so we're proud to be able to sponsor that. The bookstore that they'll be using tomorrow to sell materials to the attendees is over here on our left. And we also know that we have to constantly be recruiting because we always have openings, and so we actually have our promotional materials set up out in the lobby there, ready for first thing tomorrow. So anyway, we appreciate everybody being willing to sit at tables tonight. It's a little bit different look for us. So first thing on the agenda, on my agenda anyway, is Rotary Students of the Month, and I will turn this over to Rotary at this time.
President of the board, other board members, and Dr. Chestnut, thank you for this opportunity that you give us once a month. I have to tell you, when I came this evening, I was so pleased to see how motivated all of you students were to think about a future city, that you're even thinking about your city and to think about the future. You know, You guys have done an awesome job, and I'd like to recognize all of you with a round of applause. Our honor tonight is to introduce 3 students who are the January Rotary Students of the Month. Rotary is based on a 4-way test, and the 4-way test is this: of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Those 4 things are very important to these students who are receiving this recognition tonight, because that will allow them to apply for a scholarship at the end of the year. We have a packet for each one that has the 4-way test inside in the form of a magnet, and we also have a pen for you. We also have a gift card for you to enjoy with something that you might like to have. I would like to acknowledge the parents of these students. Bailey Downey will be recognized, and she is the daughter of Christy and Dean Downey. Connor Payne and his parents, Deanna and Richard Payne. And Kimberly Vega Sanchez, parents, are Sonia and Alex Lorenzano. I would also like to acknowledge the educators who have worked with these students. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Abel, Mrs. King, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Rusinello, and Mrs. Schaefer. They are the ones that have worked to acknowledge, to choose these students and recognize them for the great work that they do. So moving on, I'd like to recognize the first student of the month is a Maricopa High School student. Her name is Bailey Downey. Bailey, can you please come forward? Bailey is a senior at Maricopa High School, and she was nominated by Mrs. Rusinello. It's reported to Rotary that she's extremely hardworking and has the willingness to be the very best that she can be in everything that she does, with a high GPA, as well as being very involved in DECA, which is a great extracurricular club that will help prepare her for her future, as well as for the business world. Rotary wishes Bailey the best of luck in her future career plans in business as her chosen course of study, where she plans to go to Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma. As a student, Bailey is a leader in all classes, taking initiative and making things happen. Thank you, Bailey, and congratulations. The next student I'd like to recognize is a Maricopa Wells Middle School student, Connor Payne. Connor is an 8th grade student at Maricopa Wells Middle School. It's reported that he's an outstanding student with a 4.0 GPA, and he is in the Language, Arts, and Algebra honors classes. It is reported to Rotary that he has participated in a wide range of student activities, including band, football, baseball, and wrestling. He's a member of the Maricopa Wells chapter of the National Junior Honor Society and has provided community service at the Relay for Life, the FOR Christmas activities, and a local animal hospital. He has also helped with the annual Martin Luther King Day of Community Service activities at the Maricopa Wells campus. Mr. Abel reports Connor is well-liked and respected by students and staff, and they are proud to have him represent Maricopa Wells as the January Student of the Month. Congratulations, Connor. The next student we would like to recognize is Kimberly Vega Sanchez. Kimberly is an 8th grade student at Desert Winds Middle School and was nominated for this award by Mr. Jones and Mrs. King. They report that she consistently performs at a high level academically with a high GPA. And she also has a love of sports and will try out. She would like to be a part of the soccer and the softball teams. She's a good influence, we are told, in helping others do their best. She's an excellent example to her fellow classmates. Mrs. King reports that she is consistently excellent, and she's a true example of Tiger pride. Congratulations, Kimberly. And those are our 3 students in recognizing. Thank you for allowing us to do that.
Congratulations to our Rotary Students of the Month. Is Samantha Dugan with us tonight? Okay. Moving on, we are going to hear from Santa Cruz Elementary tonight, and they will be featured later in the program. But as part of their presentation tonight, we want to recognize some outstanding staff members from Santa Cruz Elementary that are with us tonight and tell you a little bit about them and give them some special recognition. And Principal Gina Chaffin is going to come up and help me present these certificates. And as you know, as with any good school, it takes a great team to make a great school. And Mrs. Chaffin is a great principal, but she has a great team of professionals that she works with. So let me tell you about a few of them. First, we'd like to recognize Carmen Lizarraga, attendance clerk. The students call her Miss Carmen, and she has been with MUSD for 20 years. She spent the last 2 years at Santa Cruz Elementary. Miss Carmen is a dynamo. She is reliable, trustworthy, respectful, and extremely smart. She knows how to get the job done, and everyone else's job for that matter. On days when Santa Cruz is short-staffed, Miss Carmen jumps in to help get everything accomplished and does it all with a smile on her face. And to top it all off, Miss Carmen has a certain finesse about her that's hard to beat. She can call a grown father that walks into the office, she can call him hun or sweetie, and he's okay with that. So congratulations to Carmen. And you have to stay up here because you want to get a nice picture. Next, we'd like to recognize Heidi Hamrick, a paraprofessional with Santa Cruz Elementary. Mrs. Hamrick has been a true blessing to the entire Santa Cruz community for the past 2 years. She was hired as a move-on reading specialist through the Auction grant and has played a vital role in raising students' academic progress. She truly enjoys working with children and shows up to work every day with a positive attitude. In addition to her professional responsibilities, Heidi volunteers her time after school hours. She has worked diligently this year in restructuring the Santa Cruz PTO and has done a remarkable job in creating a new rapport with the Santa Cruz community. So thank you, Heidi. Next recognition is for Leonard Ibarra, second grade teacher. If you were to visit Mr. Ibarra's classroom, as I have on several occasions, you may find it difficult to leave because you won't want to miss out on anything. Mr. Ibarra does whatever it takes to motivate students about learning. You may walk into his classroom and see him wearing a tool belt, spinning batons, ringing doorbells, or doing a perfect impersonation of Mickey Mouse. His students love being in class and are excited about learning something new every day. In addition to his remarkable work with second graders, Mr. Ibarra is an expert when it comes to thinking maps, which is one of the areas of professional development in our district and a great teaching tool, and he's been a valuable trainer of that professional development for the district. So congratulations, Mr. Ibarra. Next recognition goes to Alex Reyes, fifth grade teacher. Mrs. Reyes loves math and has fun teaching it. When you enter Mrs. Reyes' math class, you will see her smiling and laughing with her students, and at first glance, you may think she's not teaching anything at the moment. But you stay a few seconds longer and you realize that she and her students are smiling, laughing, and getting excited about learning math. Mrs. Reyes keeps her students engaged in a variety of hands-on activities every day that make learning fun. In addition, she is the Student Council Chair for Santa Cruz and has done an excellent job in helping kids to create a climate of school spirit. Congratulations, Mrs. Reyes. And our final recognition goes to Jennifer Bell, Resource Teacher. Mrs. Bell is an anchor for the Santa Cruz community. She works with students in kindergarten through 6th grade with a wide variety of needs and talents. While she is patient and compassionate with her students, there's no way she will allow any of them to fail. She sets her expectations high, and her students know that failure is not an option. Mrs. Bell has formed bonding relationships with Santa Cruz families and works closely with all teachers to ensure all students' needs are being met. Mrs. Bell is a true example of a positive attitude, and she is an asset to the profession in Santa Cruz. Congratulations, Mrs. Bell. In just a few minutes, you'll hear a lot more detail on the wonderful things that are happening at Santa Cruz Elementary. Next up, I wanted to remind everybody that the girls' basketball team is in the Division II state tournament tonight. They played Flagstaff at 4:15 today, and I'm proud to announce they won. I was supposed to get a text message, and I never got it, so I'm glad somebody is paying attention there. I'm very proud of the girls' team. They've had an outstanding season, and so we're looking forward to the next game, which I believe will be Friday, and I believe it's at 4:15. Again, was the bracket that I saw. So anyway, be looking for that and attend that game if you can. I believe it is going to be played at Grand Canyon University, I believe. So very proud of those girls. And that's all I have to report on at this time.
Since there's been so much talk about budget and Governor Ducey's budget, as part of the state school board association and now part of the National Board Association by being part of the state, I just want you to know that the State School Board Association has penned a letter to the governor, and I wanted to read part of it to you because we do take this very seriously. The 5% cuts that he's recommending, that he says are part of non-classroom cuts, really do affect our classrooms. We are extremely concerned with this, and you as parents have the power to get involved. There are over 50 parents in this room right now, and you can go to the website AZSBA. You can click on the advocacy link. You can have a direct impact tonight on all the education bills that are coming across the desk. And you need to do that because we as school boards right here have to take whatever is given to us. You as parents have the power, and you can do it tonight by logging on. It takes 5 minutes. We have made it very, very easy for you. You put your zip code in, and it instantly comes up with your legislators and your representatives and your governor. And the letters are already done for you. All you have to do is log in and put in your name at the bottom of it. It has an area that you can go in, and you can put your own comments in there if you want to. But I really need you to do this because we need your help. The cuts that are being recommended, they do come out of your classroom. It directly affects our children. It directly affects those gifted programs that you are so wholeheartedly trying to keep. I have got to have you contact your representatives and your governor. If you go to the the AZSBA website, our Facebook page, has an open letter that we are circulating to parents that you can log on and you can directly send that to the governor. He has got to know what we think, and I'm urging you to please contact and let them know what you think. This directly affects every single person in here. And as a school board member, the first opening line says, as elected governing board members, we are writing you to relay some concerns that we have about the education spending shift in your recent proposed budget. We have worked diligently to ensure our students receive the best education possible despite limited and drastic funding cuts. The 5% diversion from the non-classroom cuts to classroom cuts is a misnomer. Many of the classifications of non-classroom expenses are directly related to student success. We are certain you understand how speech pathologists, occupational therapists, and psychologists help a student's ability to learn, but so does a safe, well-maintained building that ensures teachers don't have to clean their own rooms or worry about their students' health. That's just the first 2 paragraphs. I urge you to please go on at AZSBA, check out the letter, click on the advocacy link, and get involved. That's the only way that you are going to have a direct impact in your students' education. That's all I'm going to say. Please get involved.
Thank you, Mrs. Anderson. Dr. Miller? She said it better than I could have. Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
Need to carry on.
Okay. All right, moving on. Future Cities Recognition. Dr. Chestnut.
Well, as you know, we have some special recognition tonight, and it was very exciting to see the Future Cities projects out in the lobby, and if anybody didn't get a chance to look at those, be sure you look at them on your way out. It's very exciting tonight to be able to recognize our Future Cities students and competitors at state and national level. We're very proud of the good work that they've done, and it's great academic work. You know, but it's more than that. It's just such a great team effort. We have 4 excellent teachers, 2 at each middle school that lead these programs, and we have dedicated parents that are really very supportive. And so a lot of time and effort went into these projects, and it really paid off, I think, with some great learning by students. So we want to give that special recognition tonight. And so at this time, I'd like to call up the 4 20+1 teachers, Joe Soltysik, Robin Rice, Jennifer Soltysik, and Shannon Hull, to assist me. They're going to pass out certificates for me as I read these names of our students to be recognized for their great accomplishments with Future Cities, and then we're going to turn the program over to the 4 teachers who will recap the year for us and have a little discussion with the governing board. So first, I'd like to recognize Future City participants from Desert Wind. All these students that I'm going to read participated in state competition. From Desert Wind, that included Anaya Widzer, Elisa Huffman, Shane Sexton, Sydney McDill, Anthony Krella, Kale Norris, Daisy Leal, Lynn Murayuki, David Henderson, Deborah Stenzel, Alec Kamarchek, Skylar Dugan, Jonah Benson, Henry McCloskey, Parker Hunsaker, Matthew Whitley, Brian Petersheim, Logan Thomas, Ryan Stewart, Landon Thomas, Jade McAnally, David Luna, Brendan Collins, Devion Cyprian, Ruth Sherwood, and Rainey Sanders. And I think we want to have all the students stay up here because we want to get a great picture. You want to do that now, Mr. Beckett, and get the, maybe do one school at a time. How about that way? With big pardon? Missed two of them? Who did I miss? Oh, I missed two names. I'm sorry. Isabel Uniakat. And Savannah Schellabarger. Okay, now we're ready for the picture. Sorry about that. And now for the students of Maricopa Wells Middle School who participated in state competition. Travis Daniel. Caitlin Goldner. Kobe Weimer. Jose Arroyo. Joseph Rice. Emily Cordero. Elise Brown Thunder. Sarah Skirnich. Emily Morano. Emma Schrader. Evan Grace. Aman Mahant. Megan Hahn. Jordan McGee. Jacqueline Bew. Daxton Redfern. Brian Pick. Clarissa Salcedo. Nikki Watson. Jessica McGee. Connor Witt. Nick Perez. Elias Brown Thunder. Andres Martinez. Michael Hildick. Cassidy Rigby. Katrina Riddell. Did I miss anybody? Are we ready for the picture? Okay, I think we're ready for the picture. We should take a picture of people taking pictures. And we got the 4 more certificates, yeah. One more picture. As you know, we had one team from Maricopa Wells Middle School that placed first in state. And just returned from the national competition in Washington, D.C. And we'll be hearing more about that in a few moments, but we want to give a special certificate for our 4 Arizona State champions from Maricopa Wells Middle School 20+1 program. Joseph Rice. Emily Cordero. Sarah Skirnich. And Elise Brown Thunder. We're also very proud of the 4 teachers that lead this program. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to them and ask them to give us a little recap of the year.
It detaches. As the girls just said, I did get pounded with snow while we were in Washington. So I'm Joe Saltisic. I'm going to speak on behalf of all 4 of us here. Just a little bit about the blended learning program. First of all, I'd like to thank members of the board, Dr. Chestnut, and Mr. Abel for your support all year of our program at Wells. Thank you. The 20+1, before I get into the specifics, one of the things that I just love about being there in my 3rd year, and one of the things I think that makes us have some success so far is the family atmosphere that we're able to create, the relationship that we're able to build with those students. And we have a wide range of students. We have some of the highest achievers I've had the fortune of working with. We have students who really need a lot of attention. And I think this program, we've been able to do that, and we've been able to do it in many different ways. Over the summer, all 4 of us were asked to create project-based learning for the next 4 years for all types of learners, not just excelling learners, but all types of learners. And we were able to come up with many things. This year so far, our highlights have been our children have solved crimes through staged crime scenes and blood that looks kind of real, but it wasn't. We ran through some scientific testing, did a lot of math, wrote reports for language, and the kids had a lot of fun doing that and learned quite a bit. We were even fortunate enough to have our SRO officers, Officer Ortega, I saw him earlier. Where'd he go? Oh, just as I'm giving him a shout out. He helped the kids with some of the logistics behind police work and things like that. So that was real beneficial. The Future Cities is our 2nd semester project-based learning opportunity. And before I go on too long, I just want to thank all the engineers that helped both schools out with this. In particular, Mr. Damon Hahn, who I know is here, if he would please stand up. And his brother, who helped Desert Wind Middle School out quite a bit this year, Mr. Jerry Hahn, ladies and gentlemen. And we at Maricopa Wells were fortunate enough to have several engineers help us out. Kane Rivera, who's not here, and a few others that landed their assistance. Parents, I cannot thank you guys enough for your support during this adventure. I know it's frustrating at times. I know when we email you and your kids come home and ask for lots of things, and they're frustrated. But I think in the end, it's a valuable learning experience for them, and they learned a lot. So parents, thank you so much for all your support you've given us this year. And to move this along so you guys can go get something to eat, upcoming events we have with the 20+1 kids, starting actually the week after break and a little bit next week, we're going to be building, well, we call them real rockets this time. We're going to be making rockets, and we have volunteers from the city council. Ms. Smith will be helping us out, and what's the name of the general? Dynamics, that's it. I almost said logistics. Representatives from General Dynamics will be helping us out make those, and some other rocketry experts and competitors that do it competitively. And General Dynamics has been very generous to pay for lots of the materials that we're going to be using, and we'll be using real engines. And don't worry, Mr. Abel, the fire department will be there, I promise. Yeah. Currently, we are working on something where we switch gears completely. We did all this engineering and all this science, and now we're doing historical performance art pieces. And it has been an interesting switch because we have, we purchased green screens, which have been very beneficial. And we just have, it's funny to see the kids that are more performance and art-based have really become the leaders of this activity as opposed to the science-based kids, or we call them, that led during the Future Cities competition, the crime scene investigations. Suddenly we have students who led the charge going, you want me to get up there and do what? Okay, so, but it's interesting to see that, and that's our focus. It's not just about engineering. You know, performance art and the arts has a big role in what we do in there as well. And then finally, the fourth quarter, we are going to be designing video games. We have some software that hopefully works with our computers that the kids will be doing some role-playing video games and writing different stories to go along with those games and doing coding for the computer and things like that. And this is all happening while we do our normal curriculum on a daily basis, in which we assign every week. So the last two groups of people I want to thank, first of all, I'd like to thank my colleagues, okay, who dubbed me the speaker tonight. My wife, Mrs. S. Mrs. Rice, who I have had the fortune of working with for the past 7 or 8 years. They're running together at this point, but yeah, we call each other work husband and wife. And then Mrs. Hall, who I've also known for quite some time. Members of the board, Dr. Chestnut, I hope we can continue to grow this type of learning and can be a continued success. But finally, I don't get to say it enough. Kids, we love you guys, and I want to thank you guys for all the hard work you put in. Emma, we're very proud of you for your speech today. Yeah, and I am her English teacher, so I will take credit for all of that. I had no idea she was going to say that, but it was still my doing, just so you know. And we really love you guys and love coming to work every day, and I don't think it's said enough. I know a lot of people, you know, commend you, and a lot is expected of you. You guys come through on a daily basis, and that's for both schools. Desert Wind, to win 7 awards your first year doing this competition, quite amazing. And I'm really proud of you guys too, okay? Thank you guys. You can go home and eat.
Santa Cruz Elementary School Math Language Arts Update. Dr. Chestnut, Principal Chafin.
As you know, we've been hearing a report from each school. Tonight we have Santa Cruz Elementary, Principal Gina Chaffin. I'll turn it over to her.
Clickers too.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Chestnut, community members. Thank you for having us here this evening to brag about Santa Cruz. I also want to thank all of my staff members that showed up tonight. If I could have recognized all of them, I would have, but there was a limit. But will you please stand and be recognized, because my teachers worked very, very hard. I am really excited tonight. Last year at this time when I was giving our board presentation, Santa Cruz had a C label, and through a lot of hard work and diligence, we raised our points 18 points, and we are now a B school. So this is a proud moment for us. We're starting off with our demographics, our ethnicity, and our male-female ratio, pretty much half and half. Although we have a large Hispanic population, we, in comparison to the percentage of Hispanic, we do have a lower ELL population. So we don't have a pull-out or the four-hour pull-out type. Our students are integrated into the general ed classroom. For our highly qualified teachers, there are percentages of bachelor's, master's. We have 18 teachers with special areas endorsements, and we have 8 teachers that have more than 10 years of experience. So we have a lot of high quality teachers at Santa Cruz as well. Our math goal for Santa Cruz is that 100% of Santa Cruz elementary school students in kindergarten through 6th grades will make their expected growth in math by May 2015, as measured by the Galileo pretest and post-test. And the data that I am showing you tonight is our targeted students, and we target our bottom 30%, the kids that were in either falls far below or approaches the bottom 30%. And the reason why I am focusing on that tonight, obviously we concentrate on all of our kids, but in order to get that 100%, we really need to do a special focus on those kids, because the state takes the bottom 25%, and sometimes that can be a double or a triple whammy for us. So at the pretest this year, those bars were all red, and so you can see that in math they are starting to turn green. Those are the percentages of students that are now meeting. The ones that are in green are now meeting in math as of the second benchmark. When we get to the reading data, you will see that our reading is more effective right now than the math. So we have we've made some changes to our scheduling, and I will talk about that and talk about what we are continuing to do in reading to keep going on reading as well. So some of our strategies for reaching our goal of 100% growth in math. Instructional strategies include differentiated instruction, reteach and enrich, and small group instruction. And what we have done this year for reteach and enrich is we dedicate the last hour of the school day on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, not Wednesdays because it's early release, and we dedicate that last hour to school-wide intervention, and everybody is involved in school-wide intervention, all of our special areas teachers, and anybody who can help out, our academic coach, and we put the kids into groups. The reason why everybody gets involved is so that we can make smaller groups. We have an enrichment group. We have kids that have met, and then we have kids that need to be retaught the standards. So when we first started this, Mondays and Tuesdays were dedicated to reading intervention, and Thursdays and Fridays were dedicated to math. Because we are showing more green in reading right now, we are now dedicating all 4 days to math, and then we have taken a different approach to the reading. Something else that we are doing is we are on a no more worksheets crusade, because research supports the fact that students learn more and retain more information when they are actively involved in hands-on activities. So I get really excited about this stuff, so I brought some examples. This is an example of thinking maps. notebook, and this is one of Mr. Ibarra's. We recognized him tonight. He is such a thinking maps expert. And this is a student's binder here where they keep all of their thinking maps in this binder, and then the student during the conferences, they use these binders to lead the conference, and it holds them accountable. So that's very exciting. If you walk around our campus, you'll see all kinds of things like this hanging up in our hallways, telling time. That was the half hour, breaking down the parts of a clock. So we're getting away from the typical worksheets. And then we also have a lot of interactive notebooks. And interactive notebooks really hold kids to a different standard. They have a lot more pride in their work because they hang on to something like this all year long. And so this is an example of some of the things. Instead of doing worksheets, they do these activities and, you know, odds and evens. And each page has something different. They have flip books and flip pages and all kinds of things. So I get really excited when I walk into a classroom and see that kind of thing going on. Okay, we also use manipulatives. We do center activities, spiral reviews, the interactive notebooks I just talked to you about, and we have a lot of teachers going through math solutions training, and they implement those strategies in the classroom. We review and analyze our data. We do that consistently. We have data binders. And for the data binders, this is an example of, and I'm just going to show the board because there are a few names on there, but this is an example of a teacher that's keeping track of her students' scores from test to test. So if you see, this is her exceeds category right now in math. And the students that were in yellow were in approaches, and now they are in exceeds. And so, and these can move around. So it's another way to keep track of, this is her meets category, and you can see that the pink was a student that was in Fall Fars Below and is now meeting the standards. But we also have some blues that were in exceeds and are now in meets, and so we need to pay special attention to them too. So we're still keeping track of all the kids, 100% of them, to make sure that they meet their growth. But these they're stickies, and they move around in their notebook. And we take care of, we look at that data each time we have data meetings. So we keep these data binders. We have common prep time for our teachers so that they can collaborate. We have grade level data meetings each week. Well, we have grade level meetings each week, and we look at our data as often as we need to. And our data-driven instruction and progress monitoring. And what we do with our data-driven instruction is we will take each standard after a benchmark, and we will look at the class as a whole, and the teachers highlight the kids who met or did not meet the standard. And then they ask themselves questions: have I taught this standard? If not, when am I teaching it? If I have taught it, do I need to reteach it to the entire class, or do we need to reteach it during intervention and pull them out in small groups? And so that's how we just keep moving forward on those standards. The technology that we're using for math right now is MobyMax, ScootPad, and Khan Academy. This is our reading data, and you can see that we are showing as more effective across the board with, we have more green. 100% of Santa Cruz Elementary School students in kindergarten through 6th grades will make their expected growth in reading by May 2015 as measured by the Galileo pretest and post-test. And our strategies for meeting that goal, the same as math, differentiated instruction, reteach and enrich time. Small group instruction, we do have an auction grant for a paraprofessional this year. Hopefully that will continue. And then we have our cross-curricular reading strategies. So what we have done since we took away that intervention time from reading and devoted it now to math is the teachers are extending their reading time for longer periods throughout the day and incorporating science and social studies into their reading. So they're teaching reading while they're teaching science and social studies, and then that is also aligned with the AZ Merit focus of informational text. So it all goes toward the same focus. Our technology use, Learning A to Z and RAS kids. And speaking of, Dr. Chestnut had brought up earlier about professional development. And our staff did attend professional development on RAS kids. And if you see that yellow bar on the end, that is the growth that we've made on RAS kids since our professional development. We grew in usage 2,300%. So the professional development does pay off because our teachers are taking it back to the classroom and implementing it. We have, for our data analysis, data binders, common prep time, data-driven instruction, progress monitoring. And for our No More worksheets, we have interactive journals, center activities, spiral review, thinking maps, and close reading. So that is a strategy that the teachers use for their reading as well, is to look deeper into the reading and teach kids how to go, not through the whole text, but through pieces of it to comprehend the reading at a higher level. And that is it. To wrap everything up, one of the things that I think makes our school very successful is that we are fully aligned to our goals, whether it's our professional development, our resources, our interventions, our curriculum nights, the school-wide expectations across the school, and the feedback that we give teachers when we walk into a classroom, when the coach or I walk into a classroom. We are looking for something very specific, and we give specific feedback, and it is all aligned to our goals of 100% of our kids meeting their expected growth. So, thank you. Any questions? Yeah, okay.
One. First, congratulations on all the hard work.
Thank you.
You guys are doing amazing things over there.
Thank you.
And it shows. What are some of your challenges that you're going to be facing?
Challenges are large class sizes and parent involvement. We have a lot of working parents, so it's not that parents don't want to be involved, but we have a lot of parents that work long hours, and but we have seen some growth in that area too. But I think that our biggest challenge is the large class sizes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. When you did your academic focus or your school focus, when we were going to charter, you had daily physical activity for your 5th and 6th grade. So when I see cross-curricular reading strategies and cross-curricular math strategies, how are you, is that part of working that into your, all of that? Are they doing that in the activity classes as well?
They do.
I mean, okay.
Our health and fitness, Mr. Bell uses thinking maps for his activities. He has kids writing, and Mr. Petrides, it's so awesome. We have the rock wall, and the kids will climb that rock wall and grab vocabulary words. So the teachers work very collaboratively at Santa Cruz, and he finds out what vocabulary they're learning, and the kids, he has them learning vocabulary even in PE.
Because I know that kids learn so well in a physical sense, and it's nice to see that the scores are excelling.
And another piece of data is that our attendance has improved this year.
That's nice.
Yes.
I think that's good. I mean, it's proven to me that kids learn very well in a physical sense.
They're excited to come to school.
Yeah, that's what I like to see. Congratulations. I'm excited.
Thank you.
I'm excited for you. So.
For your presentation, and thank you for the information that you put together for us. I think you and your staff are doing a wonderful job. One thing that I would like to actually kind of ask on, say your 1st grade and 3rd grade reading math scores. Because I know like Ms. Hildeck from Butterfield was here our last meeting, and she said, because it was kind of the same with the 1st and 3rd, she said they had difficulties with the technology. By chance, did you and your staff had any experiences with the technology when doing the Galileo testing?
Yes.
Could you elaborate?
We did have technology difficulties, and the tests had to be restarted, and then it was taking several minutes for a question to upload, and so then having to stop and restart and stop and restart, it diminished the drive, the momentum. Yes, that was exactly what I was thinking. So by the time they really got to take the test, I think they were already very tired. They're only 6 and 8. So
So do you know what will be different, like, for the next time, for not only your school, but just, I mean, I'm
Well,
sure you
what-
reached out to them and say, hey, we got these, the difficulties, and,
What we are doing for our third benchmark, because we're taking the Arizona merit on paper, we are doing a perfect practice for 3rd through 6th grade, and we are taking those tests on paper with the teachers and proctors in the room. We're going to develop, and we're doing this next week, and so we're developing a similar schedule to AZ Merit so that when the kids take the AZ Merit, they're used to that because they have been testing online, and now they're going to be going to the paper, and they can't use highlighters. They can use the pencil to underline. So we're going to do a perfect practice for 3rd through 6th, and then we're still going to do online for 1st and 2nd grade. And because we won't have as many people testing online, we hope that we won't have as many difficulties.
very nice.
Okay? All right. Thank you very much. And we would love to have you visit our campus anytime. I get very excited. You can ask Dr. Chestnut. I get very excited about taking people. Our teachers get excited. We have rock star teachers at Santa Cruz, and we have lots of really, really fun things happening. So.
Last time we were there, we had to
So-
climb the rock wall.
You what?
Last time we were there, we had to
I know.
climb the rock
Okay.
wall.
I know.
Did you catch a vocabulary word?
Yes, I did.
Awesome. Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Okay. Administrative salary schedule revision. Dr. Chestnut.
Believe it or not, I don't have any slides on this presentation. Thank you. As you'll recall, actually before I start, thanks to Santa Cruz. It's a great school, a great staff, and it is a lot of fun to visit that school. So a lot of exciting things happening on a daily basis. So thank you to Santa Cruz. Moving on. Next item is administrative salary schedule revision draft proposal for the governing board to look at. If you'll recall at our last board meeting, we looked at a similar proposal for certified teacher salary schedule. And this is very similar. And in the board packet was an informational memo that pretty much described the rationale, but just to run through it, just to refresh your memory. Number one, this will not change any current administrator salaries. It's really a cost-neutral proposal. It will be used for new staff members, but the fact is it's the exact same salary range that we currently have with the current schedule. It's just reformatting without steps based on experience. That's the only difference. Very identical, really, to the way we proposed the teacher one at the last meeting. As I told you at the last meeting, the administrative salary schedule is similar in that each year the board will decide the cost of living adjustment or a longevity bonus that would be awarded on this administrative salary schedule. That's really our current practice. We make an annual decision, and that would continue. Number 5, there was an administrative salary committee. We only met one time. It was a short committee, but we reviewed this and talked about what does this salary schedule look like? Are there any problems? And the administrators did make the point that our salaries are lower than others in our region, especially for those in our immediate geographic region, because in many ways we are competing for teachers and administrators with Kyrene, Tempe Union High School District, Chandler, Queen Creek, some larger districts. But if you also look at our administrative salaries in comparison to the 10 or 12 districts in the state, from 5,000 to 10,000, we're on the low side, pretty much across the board on both starting salary as well as the top end of the salary schedule. But despite that, there's no change in this proposal that I'm bringing tonight. Number 6, for fiscal years 2010, 11, 12, and 13, the raise for administrators was 0%. And there was 2 main reasons for that, and 2 reasons why we struggle to fund our salary schedules. The first is that the state has cut K-12 funding by 17.5% over the last 7 years. So it's difficult to keep up with the salary schedule that was in place 7 years ago. And the second thing is that MUSD receives no additional revenue from override funds as we did from 2005 to 2012. So there were years prior to 2010 when we could meet our salary schedule requirements. And then finally, the main reason that a stepless salary schedule is needed is to have a transparent system that matches salary increases with available revenue. And so as I've mentioned, for 5 out of the past 6 years, we have not been able to fully fund the administrative salary schedule. And when we're in that kind of a situation, it just doesn't make any sense to continue with a model that doesn't work. So that's the proposal. Be glad to answer any questions.
I don't have any.
Now, is this something that we'll be voting on tonight, or is this just a proposal we'll be looking at, right?
Right, just a work study item tonight, no action. I would be interested in placing both of these salary schedules as an action item on a future agenda, though.
In between both, I mean, on the one side, I know we want competitive employers here and staff, but with the current budget cuts and we didn't get the budget override, what do you think a 10% cut on the current, what that would look like, and for new employees, of course, what do you think that may look like?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, we are still in an era where the state is in tough economic times, and we probably are facing cuts in revenue from the state this year. We don't know exactly how much. But I think that's the precise reason why I'm proposing this schedule. We will have what I would consider a very transparent salary schedule, because what it's saying is there are going to be some years when we will have a 0% increase because we're not getting additional revenue from the state. Current board policy actually says that we do have the ability to actually reduce salaries if needed. And, you know, during the Great Recession, several school districts in our area did that, temporarily reduced salaries. They were able to restore them in every case that I'm aware of. But we didn't do that. Instead, we had 0% increase and just solved that budget problem the other way. So I think but this is a scenario you're describing where we have maybe, you know, cuts from the state. I think this new salary schedule is more transparent in that we're not pretending to say we can do a 2% salary increase and not be able to fund our own salary schedule.
No more questions? Thank you, Dr. Chestnut. Update on the budget process. That's you again.
You just got all I plan to involve Mr. Roush's discussion as soon as possible. I do have slides on this one. And update on our February 18th Budget Committee meeting. It was our last Budget Committee meeting, and I made a point of thanking Jim Irving and Rick Nielsen for leading the process, as well as all the community members, staff members that served. We had about 30 different people that served. Not everybody made every meeting. But it was labor of love, and they were long discussions, and you know, right before dinner, everybody's stomach was growling, but it was good feedback, excellent feedback we got from the committee. So I just wanted to review that feedback tonight. Just to remind you, the big picture, we kind of have a range of scenarios of where we think we might end up, and Mr. Roush prepared these. So on the low end, we think we will receive an additional $175,000 in revenue for 15-16. So we're hoping we'll get a slight increase in revenue. That's on the low end. On the high end, it could be as high as $400,000. And Mr. Roush was very clear to give lots of disclaimers because you're looking into a big, huge crystal ball. The legislature's in session. There's many proposals in play, and it could be less than $175,000. And I would be shocked if it was more than $400,000. But there's more to it than that, and I'll come back to that in a moment. Well, I guess this is the reason. The reason is because of Governor Ducey's K-12 budget proposal, and Tori Anderson did a good job of describing that earlier. If this proposal goes through, and it's not been put into a law or into a budget proposal yet, but Governor Ducey has proposed to reduce MUSD non-classroom expenditures by $800,000. Which would thereby increase classroom expenditures by 5%. So you shrink half of the pie that is non-classroom, and that adds to the classroom side. The second bullet, the result will be we'd have to make cuts in counselors, librarians, tech staff, secretarial staff, security staff, nursing services, food service staff, custodial staff, maintenance staff, bus drivers, mechanics, and certified administration. That is the list of non-classroom positions. And the way his proposal is written, all of those cuts, $800,000 in cuts would have to come out of those positions. There are a few non-position expenses in that category, insurance, utilities, things like that. We could set our thermostats higher in the summer and lower in the winter, that kind of thing, but it'd have to come out of non-classroom the way it's currently written. The bottom line for me, though, is that the result will be less support for students, teachers, and remaining staff. We're talking about security staff. They help us stay safe. We've already made cuts in nurses because of reduced revenue, and we may have to make more, but that's an important issue. Secretarial staff is important. We know that. Tech staff is important. These are the things that support teachers in doing their jobs. The teaching profession has changed greatly over the last 30, 40 years. You really can't just go in the classroom and shut the door and be self-supporting. You need a team of people that are really listed in that second bullet to help you do your job. And if these cuts go through as proposed, it would put a lot more stress on the remaining staff to pick up some of those duties. So that's the kind of the wild card that we're facing. We could end up getting $175,000 in additional revenue while at the same time making $800,000 in cuts to non-classroom. So it's an interesting scenario. So to move on. The Budget Committee priority items, they ended up with 5 priority items, and this looks a little different than the last time I showed it to you. Number 1, their highest priority is to retain all staff, including grant positions. And as you know, the Auction grant was only a 2-year grant. It was clearly communicated that it was only a 2-year grant. We are not counting on those grant funds for next year. It was a generous gift, and but at the same time, we've hired 5 math teachers, about 5 paraprofessionals for reading support at the elementary level, and we've hired a TOSA position at Saddleback Elementary. And so if we were to retain all those staff members, that would cost $540,000. And this is one of those situations where the Budget Committee knows that class size is large already. And so that was the reason why they said, we can't afford to lose those 5 math teachers, for example. The Budget Committee also is well aware that this is a list of items that cost a lot of money, and we're not going to have this much money. But their point was that retaining all staff is the number 1 priority. Number 2 would be a cost of living raise if the board could afford that, if we could afford that in our budget for next year. And if we did a 1% raise, it would be $261,000 for all staff. Number 3, reduce class size. Ideally, we'd add 10 teachers, reduce class size, but once again, we're going to have to face some fiscal reality in the next few months as we refine our plan. Number 4, a marketable gifted program. I had a lot of conversations about that. It did have a dollar figure attached to it in previous meetings, but on the last draft, it went to 0 because the idea was to refer this to a committee to study. But I'm not sure if we adjourned too soon, but the final slide said 0. It's still a priority. It had $60,000 on there last time, and that's something the board may want to consider and could obviously devote some funding to. So that we could hire someone to work on elementary gifted, that kind of thing. But the idea is that we want to be able to have a defined gifted program that we can advertise to the community that would help retain our gifted students. And then number 5, ideally we'd add an elementary counselor or social worker position. That would be the 5th priority. So that's the priority list, and be glad to answer any questions.
Question on for the social work position, and I know this is again a proposal. Could you have? My question is that would that be a BHT position, a master's position, or an independent license position? Because obviously those different steps would be. I mean, supervision is really important, and also what the salary base is off what their licensure is. So I was just curious of what level of a social worker. And how do they define social worker? Because sometimes that term can be used loosely.
Sure. We purposely didn't let the Budget Committee get deep into details on these proposals. And I think the thought was that you could make a case for either of those, an elementary certified counselor or a social worker. And I do understand that there's different levels of certification, kind of like with our nursing staff.
Right.
And so, you know, an example is in our nursing staff. I know sometimes we've advertised for an RN, but we've decided to hire an LPN at a slightly lower salary because that person was really better qualified for whatever reason. So I think that if this ended up making the list, we would look into it and come back with some recommendations and some plans on how to proceed.
One important thing is, you know, just like nursing, the supervision is really important, and what type of, you know, level of supervisor, you know, at the independent level, which they would, you know, typically have to be, which would obviously mean a higher salary. So I think, you know, from my perspective, I think that would be important to know. And again, it's a proposal, and I know it's kind of draft, but just something for them, you know, to think about, and that, you know, to make more clear at some point.
Exactly. Yeah.
These are just recommendations. This can be manipulated in any direction, so.
Yep.
Our focus in the last meeting was not to really put dollar figures
Exactly.
on it. It was just to list the priorities.
Exactly.
And a lot of this stuff, even though we listed the priorities, it's up to the administration to
Yes.
figure out the dirty details.
Yes.
So, you know, if the administration feels that we need to have a counselor versus a social worker versus a therapist.
Or they
at
may
any level,
decide
that's up
that
to
the
them.
gifted program is a better
Yeah.
direction to go. I mean, that's where administration needs to,
And then they
guide-
come
guide
back
the
to
board.
us, and then we make the
yes.
decision.
And just to remind the audience, our process, so our process and
Yes.
tradition is that once we get the budget committee wrapped up, then I take this list back with the cabinet. We spend a couple weeks just refining the details and coming back with what we would propose based on these recommendations and bring that to the governing board. Our plan is to bring that to our next meeting on March 18th. And hopefully there'll be some things more clear from the legislature, but I think it still may take longer than that before we have more clarity. So that's also the other kind of wild card here, but we'll keep working it through till we get it finalized.
I mean, we've heard from schools and we've heard from parents, and that will certainly guide the conversation as well, that administration will take that into consideration, so. Correct.
Teachers out there that are already making RIF lists. So if we don't even have to RIF teachers, I think that speaks volumes for where we're at.
That's a nasty word.
I know it is. And thankfully, we're not going to have to use that.
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Do
Review.
you have another slide, or is that it?
That is it.
That's
Oh,
it for him.
Okay.
He makes it short and sweet. Okay. I know. It's very. Review monthly financial report for January 2015. Mr. Roush.
Thank you, Ms. President Coutray, members of the board, Dr. Chestnut. We've provided you, as always, the monthly financial report with a 3-page memo. And I didn't get any previous questions, but I'm happy to answer any questions about the document.
Any questions? I don't have any questions.
Okay.
I can make one up, but I don't have any.
Okay.
No questions? Thank you, Mr. Roush.
You're welcome.
That brings us to our consent agenda. Are there any discussions or motions?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
I'll second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Action items. Our personnel schedule. Mr. Beckett.
Members of the board, Dr. Chestnut, just like every board meeting, I have a personnel schedule in front of you tonight. I will take any of your questions that you have regarding it.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Me neither this time.
This one was short.
All right. Any motions?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Beckett.
Thank you.
And our last item of the evening, adjournment. Any motions?
Discussion? No, I'm kidding. Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned, 8:01. Thank you, people, for coming out.